Let me just say hello to everybody. Thank you for joining me today. This is a Spotlight Power Trader demo. Make sure you're all in the right place. I've got some exciting things to show you. I think I still see people getting settled in, so let me just stall another moment or two. And while doing that, how about if I ask you guys to type in where you're located? And I'll go ahead and read out some of the answers. It's always fun to see where everyone is. It's a small global community of traders. I had someone from Papua New Guinea and South Africa during my last demo. It was pretty impressive. I've got London, Canada, and Anchorage, Alaska. All right. Hello, Max. I'm in beautiful Napa, California, just to kind of put that out there. Got Cornwall, the UK. Never visited Cornwall, but I certainly love the UK. Anyone else want to chime in? How about if you type in what you're trading? Give me a sense of what to focus on. I personally trade futures. I'm a futures day trader. That's my forte. I host a live trade room for Netpicks. I've been doing so for 13 straight years. New York, hi New York. Kalamazoo, welcome Kalamazoo. So there's a chat box and there's a question box, just to point you guys to both. The chat box, I put in a link for you guys. It's the Netpicks Trading Tips blog. And there's a lot of useful content on that blog. I mean, it's a very excellent site to visit. I put a lot of live trades up on there. You could see us do the live crude oil report with Counterpunch Trader. I try to get that up there in most weeks. Amongst other things, got some recent live trades with Spotlight Power Trader and all kinds of other tips about trading that we pretty much run the gamut. So I invite everybody to visit the Netpicks Trading Tips blog. It's totally free, and I think the content on there is really, really good. Not just mine, but we've got some great contributors. All right, so thank you for joining me once again, and we're going to get started now. Let me just say that this is interactive, and I want you guys to feel free to ask questions. I will pause and go over the questions every now and then. What I'm going to start with is, first, let me just tell you, if you're not familiar, Netpicks is one of the first online trading education companies and strategy developers. They've been around for going on, I don't know, 22 plus years, and I was a customer just like you. I was listening to a webinar just like this, or a demo actually like this, and I joined. I bought one of their earlier strategies, and they heard me interacting with some of the other members on one of their forums, and I guess they liked what they heard. And one day I got a call from one of the owners. He invited me in as one of their first trade coach, and I said I'd do it, but I want to host a live trade room. And after thinking about it, they set me up with the trade room, and I just had my 13-year anniversary in the trade room just this last month. And if you're interested, I could tell you some funny stories about that. But it's the result of a lot of trading and a lot of trade room responsibility, necessity being the mother of invention, that and of course maybe learning something, an ability that I had that I didn't even know at the time, of being able to create some pretty darn good strategies that have really stood the test of time. And perhaps you've heard of some of them, dating all the way back to the 7 Summits Trader, the SST, then Trend Jumper. Trend Jumper still going strong. After that, Counterpunch Trader. We're still using Counterpunch Trader, but from that came my newest strategy. It's not even that new anymore. It's a year old, maybe even older, almost 2 years old, Spotlight Power Trader, which is what I'm going to show you today. And then the newest development from Spotlight, and maybe you've seen this on YouTube, I'm really excited about it, and that's the Spotlight Sub-Zero, which is a unique trade. It's a specific setup, and I want to take some time and show you that too, because I've really grown to rely on this one setup, and I think you guys are going to really like it. All right, so first of all, this is today's session. The markets have been dreadfully slow this week. Of course, this is options expiration day. I can't remember if it's triple witching or quadruple witching or whatever. Definitely a witching, and really just lots of backfilling and just kind of crappy price action. So let's take a look at how the spotlight works. Okay, so the big thing is to understand what the goal of the strategy is. And if you think about it, by simplifying your goal on what you try to do as a trader, that could mean the difference between success and failure. A lot of traders don't realize that. They try to do too much, too fast, and they don't learn how to just dance with the market, right? The market is the dance partner, and we're just going for the ride. We can't control it, but we can certainly control what we do with it. Okay, so the goal of the Spotlight Power Trader is to be able to, this is for day trading. You can kind of apply this to swing trading. It works similar. Great swing trade strategy. We could talk about that if you're interested. None of you have put in what you're interested in, so I'm just kind of fishing here. I'm just going to talk about my own interests unless some of you want to chime in and tell me what you would like me to focus on as well. So I'm a day trader. The goal that the Spotlight Power Trader achieves, what we want to stick to, is the ability to quit our session a vast majority of the time with a positive result while controlling our drawdown with minimal and efficient trading. In other words, less is more. Let's grow our account steadily each and every day or most days, and then we'll use the power of compounding to achieve our financial goals. In other words, we don't have to trade more to make more money. We can trade more, and there are ways to do it within the theme of this goal. Okay, and we could talk about that if you'd like. So the point is, though, as day traders, if we can just quit with a positive result a vast majority of the time, we can grow our accounts. All right, most people keep trading. Oh, I got to pay my electric bill. I didn't hit my $500 a day goal or whatever. I only made $450. I got to keep trading. They give the money back. They made money and then they give it back. And that happens all too frequently, and we need to avoid that. So the idea is take what the market wants to give you instead of what you want from the market. Because if you take what the market wants to give you and if you stick with the overriding goals, the setups take care of you. And so let's talk about this. The Russell E-mini is one of our main trade plans, and right around the middle of May is when it really catches fire, and you'll notice it's made all-time highs right on time. Maybe it goes down, it doesn't matter. The trades end up being really good starting middle of May all the way through the end of the year. Usually the first 4 months are kind of tough, up and down and up and down. Okay, and we saw that again this year. So right on time, the Russell E-mini is starting to catch fire again, but you couldn't tell by looking at this chart here. All right, this is Chicago time because it's traded out of Chicago, so 8:30 is our start time. All right. Now, the way we achieve our goals with Spotlight is everything we do is a trade plan. In other words, we know when we're starting, we know when we're stopping, we know how many trades we're taking, and we can easily test that and witness what it did in the past and how it got to where it is now so that we can have the belief and confidence to be on the right edge of the chart and take a trade without knowing what's coming next. That's what gives traders problems, and yet that's what trading is. There's an irony for you. So thank you, Sean and Paul and Fry for putting in stocks, ETFs, Forex, and the ES and the SP. So there's a few good ones there. We'll take a look at those. So what do you do? Let's say the market's opening at 8:30. You want to start trading because that's when your trade plan is. You got nothing to go on when you're looking at pure price action. Now, you want to look at pure price action. Price action is where it's at. If you have a strategy that focuses on just price action, it's a strategy that will never go out of vogue. It won't just stop working, right? You might have to change a market, you might have to change a chart, but the strategy itself will work as long as there's price action. So one of the things I borrowed from the counterpunch traders is this concept of rope-a-doping. When one side gets exhausted, you know, you defend. Let's say you're the buyer and the sellers are in charge. It's going down, 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 down. And when the sellers get tired, the buyers uncover and start wailing away and push the market higher, right? But how do we know when that's going to happen? So let me show you this incredible piece of the indicator. I call them the exhaustion dots, and it's built into our calculator. I think it's this one. Nope. That's the full calculator. I'll show you that in a moment. I thought I labeled it. There, that one. All right. You see these dots here? These dots tell us when one side gets exhausted. And there's different levels of exhaustion. There's just catching your breath exhaustion, which is just not even exhaustion. It's just catching your breath. Those set up continuation patterns. So if you look at these dots here where the buyers get tired and the sellers take charge, then the sellers get a little tired and you see a little bit of a catching of breath, and that's enough to get the buyers tired again, and then the sellers take over and you get a couple nice legs down, and over here you got a couple clusters, which is a really good sign, usually sets up a nice move higher. All right, so we start with Spotlight Power Trader borrowing from the Counterpunch Trader with this whole idea of exhaustion. And once we know the exhaustion points, then we team it up with this powerful indicator called the balance line so that we can be in balance with who's in charge. This balance line marks, like a line in the sand, the balance point between buyers and sellers, right? Who's in charge? So, for example, when the buyers get tired and the sellers take over, once we start seeing bars closing below the balance line, our odds are very good that that market's going to go down. We still want to confirm that with a few other little tricks that we employ. Some of it has to do with this interesting looking histogram down below. It's really bizarre looking, but it's quite powerful. And you know, I'm not going to get into how it works now because it's beyond the scope of this demo, but it is built into the strategy, and I'll talk about it a little bit, especially when we start talking about the sub-zero setup. Okay, so the most important thing, though, is that you get the three dots, and then you get the red bar closing in the direction of the trade, closing below our balance line, and then we ask for the price to push a little bit further, usually 2 ticks, and then we might employ some sort of key level adjustment, which is something that we teach also. It's part of the strategy, and so our entry might be right in this area, okay? And then, of course, we project targets, and the targets are very accurate, which you will see. So rather than show you how to do all this manually, which is the way I used to trade it when I was developing this technique, we've worked on what we call the Spotlight Power Trader calculator, and the calculator prints the trades for us, and I'll show you how that looks and feels. And it does some other things too. There's a reason we call it Spotlight, and I'll explain that in a moment when I show you this. There you go. So you can see the entry is right around where I said. That's that little plus sign. You know you're going short because you're below the balance line, and then you got some projected targets that are pretty darn accurate. As you can see, that target 4 is right where the exhaustion happened. And I think I got to turn my dots on because they somehow got switched off. I'm always showing people this and that, so I could turn them on. Now you see the exhaustion dots as well. Okay, so the first objective, and forgive me if you can't see this itty-bitty little pinprick of a dot right there. Maybe on the blue trade going up you could see it better. It's about 90% of the way from our entry to our first target. That's our first objective, okay? And that is, let's look at the long trade now because it's easier to see. If we get to that level, then our stop, which are these dots printed down here, is going to move to a break-even position. Because if we can get 90% of the way to our target 1, I feel, and this is built into that whole principle of being able to quit with a positive result a vast amount of the time while controlling drawdown, I feel we've earned the right to cover our commission costs and to basically break even. So you can see that the stop is wired into the calculator, and it knows once this bar closes that this is going to push up, and you can see the little blue dot there locking in 1 tick of profit, okay? And when you click on the chart like so, notice in the data window you got the entire trade laid out before you, and it's in the order of the dots. So the lower dot, of course, is your stop. There's your entry. There's your money management level, that itty-bitty little pin dot. Then you got your target 1, target 2, target 3, target 4. We know how much we're risking per position down here where it says risk. We know what our rewards are at each of the targets, and you've even got some nice risk-reward ratio information for those of you interested in that. So usually target 2 is where you're going to do, you know, better than 1-to-1, and target 3 and target 4 is typically close to 1.5 to 2-to-1, sometimes a little less, sometimes a little more, because the trade is adjusting to market conditions. Some trades are a little smaller, some trades are a little larger. It's all within the theme of dancing with the market, being that dance partner, letting the market lead, and the goal of quitting with a positive result a vast majority of the time, right, while controlling drawdown. So the primary goal is one good winner at target 2. You want to get to target 2, or 2 trades that get to money management. Maybe you end up with a wash. You might get 2 trades that break even. There are other types of goals one could employ. You might go with 3 winners or 2 losses, whichever happens first, or all trades within an hour. There's a lot of ways to use this principle, but I like the dynamic way of the target 2 winner, because I'm often finished in a matter of minutes, and then I'm free. Either I can trade another plan, I can go to sub-zero, which I'll show you, or whatever, but I have a lot of options. So for that reason, for me, I stick with what we call the power of quitting. It empowers us to quit trading for the day. We've achieved our goals. If I could do this every single day, you know, at first, it may not feel like a lot. You're making 20, you know, a couple $100 here, 150 there. You might lose a trade or a session, then you might win a few more. But at some point, you're going to reach a point in time where your account has grown where you could safely put on the next contract. And then it's going to grow even faster where you can put on the next contract, and then faster still for the next. And if you can envision in your mind hitting an exponential curve with your equity growth, you'll hit your critical mass and get your maximum size. Usually takes anywhere from, I don't know, 16, 18 months, 2 years, depends, but you get to where you're as big as you want to go. And at that point, you're just cruising. And that's the goal. So look at what happened today. Now, the one thing I want to point out to you is notice that it's in front of our start time. This is before the market opened. So even though that looks like a nice winning trade, it really isn't, right? Because we don't trade before the, I mean, you could develop a trade plan and go through the techniques that we teach to test starting earlier. But for me, I live on the West Coast. I don't want to even get up earlier, right? So while that was a winning trade, I had to wait till the market opened. So I'm looking at this trade, this yellow trade right here, you see? Now, one of the things I know is that I don't want to fight City Hall, and when you've got a price rejection right to the left, we learn how to read the nearby bars and establish some key level adjustments. This is what we call a chart level adjustment. So when I click on this, and we're only making small ones, 1, 2, 3 ticks maybe, depending on the size of the trade, I don't want to get long 2 ticks before a possible resistance level. I'm going to put my adjustment up to 1 tick beyond it. Remember, because the spirit of the strategy is price action. Price action is in charge. So we're using all these tools, but we're still having to be traders. And this is the 5% art to trading. And this becomes a mechanical rule for me because I do this every time. I don't just do it once in a while. So for me, 1630.1 would have been the entry, but when I look to my left and see 1630.3, I know the Russell. I know how it trades. This was the first market I ever started doing a live trade room with when it was the ER2 before it became the TF and back to the RTY. My very first day of doing a live trade room, I know this market, right? So I'm making a 1 tick adjustment above, right? And that was a good move. It saved me what would have been a losing trade, and instead this becomes the first trade of the day right there. So we go short. Spotlight is not trying to catch every move. It looks like it is on this part of the chart here, but it's not. It's waiting for specific patterns where there's a high predictive outcome, where we can predict the outcome a high percentage of the time. That's called winning more often than losing, right? So there's going to be periods of time where we're going to miss moves or we're going to stay flat because those patterns are just not present. So we have to remain disciplined. Here it's present, and that's a short trade. I took it this morning, and it stopped out. So lo and behold, on options expiration, I started with a losing trade. And it lost 27 ticks. That's $5 per tick per contract, right? So you can do the math. Basically, it's, what, $135 per contract that it lost. So then there's another trade. Now, one of the things I've learned is when you get a breakout and it fails, especially at a major resistance level, and now this is getting up, I think that was the high of the day at the time, or it made the new high of the day. There's no follow-through. Usually a trade in the opposite direction has a high percentage chance of winning. So I'm all over this, and anyway, it's the next trade in my trade plan, and I go short. And notice that, well, this is what happens. It pushes down, it hits the money management level, the stop moves down, and it pushes through target 2. Can't not quite get to target 3, and then stops out right here, right? So kind of a wash so far, a loser, a winner, and at this point, you'll see a gray trade here. The gray trades are trades that employ, it means that we're staying flat, basically. There's some filters that are built into the strategy and filters that I typically use. So even though that was a winning trade, it filtered out a winning trade, you know, all these V shapes, it actually protects you from more losers and winners. So in the long run, it's still better to use these filters. All right, so it's a filter, and you know, you learn why, and then you get an erratic move down. So then I need one more trade to get positive, and it comes right here, and the target is at 1628.9, and it gets as high as 1628.8. So one of the things we do is when targets are this accurate, I give the benefit of the doubt to the strategy, and if I miss by 1 tick, then I'm aggressively going to scale out of that position. At worst case, I'll get out at target 1, but I'm going to scale out, and I'll keep my other positions on to trail or hit bigger targets. So I'm guaranteed a winner, right? I'm missing by 1 tick. Again, I don't fight City Hall. In this case, it does come off. I get a partial profit, and then it ultimately stops out at money management right here, and I'm positive. In 3 trades, I got my positive result, and I'm able to stop. So mission accomplished. What I just taught you is exactly how one should use a Spotlight Power Trader. You don't keep trading. There's no reason to. You want to move your account forward on a day-to-day basis. I treat my trading as a business. It's my responsibility to be the CEO of my trading business, and the goal, the mandate, is to quit positive most of the time with minimal trading. 1 loss, 2 winners. I'll take that all the time. Quite often we're winning in the very first trade. You could see there's, you know, got kind of choppy in here. Again, options expiration, there's no reason to push it. Now, if you want to keep trading, there are ways to do it. And one of the great ways to do it is with the newest setup that I am naming Sub-Zero, and it is nearly ready. In fact, within the next few days, we're making the indicators available to Spotlight Power Trader and Inner Circle members. If you guys are interested and want to learn more about what that means, you can send me an email. I'll show you this in a moment, but let me, before I forget, put my email in here. If you guys have questions and you want to see more, or if you're interested, there is my email in the chat window, okay? All right, so let me just show you a couple more of my favorite day trades. The YM, so I'm basically trading the Dow E-mini these days and the Russell E-mini. The YM has won like 38 of the last 42 sessions. Imagine that, since the middle of March. It's been unstoppable, and talk about growing in your account and hitting goals. So, you know, the markets, for whatever reason, have been really slow. Like you could see that there's not a lot of bars in these few hours here. And this is when the market started right here. Back in February, you would have needed 4 or 5 windows to get just this period of time. So let me just walk you through the YM, and then we can look at some Forex. Forex has also been dreadfully slow. On the swing trade side, it's been really good with the dollar strengthening. I'll show you some of that. I want to save some time, and there's some automation stuff I could show you. So here's the first trade of the day. I'm chart trading, right? When I'm placing a trade, I'm able to place it right on the chart with templates where I could see my handles and my stop. Maybe I'll show you one if one sets up. I might even take a sub-zero trade and show you how that works. But the point is I could trade both. I could, place a trade on the Russell, place a trade on the YM, manage them both. I've got matrices and another monitor I could use, but basically trading right from the chart with templates where I see my handles. In other words, I could see my targets, I could slide them to the dots, I could slide my stop to the dots. It's pretty easy to trade like this. So again, I taught you the objective already. You know you're going short. This one comes down and just hits money management. I move my stop down, and I have to stop out with 1 tick, 1 point on the YM and break even. Okay, and good thing, because look at how that saved my bacon, right? It would have stopped out. So Spotlight's pretty good at protecting and sticking to the goals. I mean, that's why we have the goals that we have. So this was such a slow market. I'm just waiting for my setup. I'm doing some sub-zero trades in the meantime, waiting. There's a filtered out trade again, which would have won, and this one was kind of ironic because the filter was just like a fraction. I could have even made a 1 tick adjustment, and I would have been able to take the trade. But that's okay. I don't care. I just know that the trade that comes is what I'm interested in. And let's see, I actually have to adjust my filter for what I trade with. There's what we call a EMA crossover filter, and then we count X amount of bars. And I'm using 8, not 20. So let me just make that adjustment. Yeah, this was the next trade I took right there. So my second trade of the day, right, trying to get to the target 2 winner or 2 break-even trades. And I don't have to guess. I don't have to think. I don't have to worry. I'm at the right edge of the chart. I have to place a trade. I already know I have a tested plan. I already know it's 1/3, what I say, 38 of the last 42 sessions. I know that it's winning at a high percentage. I developed the strategy. I've got belief and confidence to not just be some guy trying to trade. I could literally be the CEO of my trading business, right? I know how to lean on the strategy and put the pressure on the strategy, not on me. I'm not adjusting around this level because it's too big of an adjustment. 1, 2, 3 ticks. So anyway, it triggers in, hits money management. The stop starts moving higher, locking in, following that line in the sand, the balance line. And then it pushes up, hits a perfect target 2. I'm out with 1 position. I'm trailing my second position. I got my goals for the day. So I got my goals on the Russell, got my goals on the Dowie Mini, and then it stops out right here. And that's it. My trading's done. Took a little longer than usual because it's just a slow options expiration Friday, but that's it. Now I did trade a few more trades. And at this point, before I show you Sub-Zero, let's just quickly look at some Forex, and we'll look at some swing trades, and I'm going to show you Sub-Zero, which I think you guys really like. So we're using momentum range bars, by the way. Those work the best, I think. Tick charts work pretty well, too. Not a big fan of time-based charts. Just so you know, Spotlight Power Trader works on TradeStation, NinjaTrader 7 and 8. We have it working on Thinkorswim. No, doesn't work on MT4. That's mostly a time base. Okay, so at this point, hey, Anchorage, Alaska, Max, I think I've bored everyone to tears because there's no one left. Everyone's gone. I guess no one cares about my own trading. Hey, Max, it's just me and you, buddy. If you've got any questions, or if there's something specifically you'd like me to focus on, let me, I'll just work with you. If there's anyone else in the trade room, please let me know. But it looks to me like everyone is gone. All right, Derek is here. So we got Max and Derek. Cool, man. I kind of like these little personal sessions. If no one's interested, then it's better we part ways anyway. So how about if anyone else is here, let me know. But let me know what you want me to talk about, because I could show you Sub-Zero. We could look at Forex. We could look at swing trading. We could look at stocks and options. I want to use the time and gear it towards your interest, or if you just don't care, you just want me just to talk about whatever. just let me know. Anybody in here, just go ahead and type in if there's anything you want me to do. So, 'cause I just don't want to bore people. I'd like to see sub-zero and swing trading. All right, Max, cool. So since you're the one that chimed in, let's go ahead and we'll do that. So I got some swing trade charts up here. Let's go ahead and look at Forex and stocks, and then we'll take a good look at sub-zero. So with swing trading and with Spotlight, we like to use the automation because, you know, there's different scaling with different price levels. You know, Forex, I use end-of-day charts, so these are longer-term holds, so you can just let the trade kind of run itself. These are the least imposing, right? These are the trades that you can do maybe 5, 15 minutes a day, look at your charts, place some trades, manage some trades, walk away. Maybe in the morning you look and you can move a stop. So the reason why I like these sorts of trades is because the automation is really great with, let me put the balance line on here. The automation is fantastic, and with these platforms you can run performance reports. So I did these tests with 1 mini lot per position, right? So half a full-size lot. That seems pretty reasonable for most people, and this is looking back 10 years from today, so it's always rolling forward, and not a lot of trades. So you have a lot of trade plans. You could look at 1, 2 dozen trade plans, so you could be very active. This is about quality versus quantity. And you could see that it's only lost 1 trade in a row over 10 years. And yet it's had an 18 trade winning streak. And you could see why I'm so enthused about these, because that might have been the 1 trade, you know, but look at what it's done. Right? This is over 10 years, and I've got variations, so there's different ways to use this on the Euro US. Sometimes there's 2 or 3 different trade plans per pairs, so that you could be very active. But the reason why I like the swing trading is because we use the automation. You can see these great win rates and the average net profit per trade. That's pretty high when you consider 5 mini lots per position, right? So it didn't get any of this. It wasn't interested in any of this. But look where it got short. And with the dollar going up and up and up and up, it really took advantage, and it's hitting some beautiful targets and still trailing. There's another target further down just in case we get lucky. All right, so, you know, here's another one. You could see these trades, and the targets are pretty accurate, as you could see. Last time I demoed, this was going on here. Look at this. I mean, wouldn't it be nice to place a trade like that, and you could tell your broker to scale out a percentage of your position at each of these targets, and all you got to do is look at it, you know, a minute a day, move your stop. So that's the whole point of swing trading with the Spotlight. Now, I didn't tell you what Spotlight does. It's supposed to shine a spotlight on the best trades, right? And when you're in a long trade, all the bars are green. When you're flat, all the bars are gray, right? When you're short, all the bars are red. They're different shades so that you know you're going up or down, but you see, you know you're flat. There's nothing to do. When it triggers in, it turns red. It's nothing to do but stay short. Let the trade manage itself. It's a very low maintenance way of trading. All right, so, you know, there's a bunch of good ones on here. Here's the Aussie yen, the Euro Aussie. I'll just throw up this performance report really quick, and you could obviously test stuff. So the U.S. Swiss hasn't had a trade in a while, but when it does trade, it's doing pretty good. You can see it winning the 91% big net profit. Only 2 losing trades in a row as a losing streak, right? The Aussie yen. Just to give you some quick overview, look at the profit factors are really good, good balance up and down. Again, 1 losing trade in a row over 10 years. You start getting the theme of what Spotlight does. Okay, so a couple questions here. Derek with a good comment, and I appreciate what he says, and I'm in full agreement. I'll let you guys read it on your own. And then Fo, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, but asking if it works on lower time frames. You know, I've never tested lower time frames because it works so well on the dynamic charts, momentum, range bars, Renko. tick charts, that I'm a guy, I'm really simple. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's why I'm able to stick with the winning horse, and it's helped me be successful as a trader. I don't need to keep tinkering. Time-based charts have another element that's man-made. It's the element of time, and it really has nothing to do with what the price action is doing, right? So I don't want to have to place a trade because the bar closes after 5 minutes. What if nothing happened? What if it's a tiny little bar with no price action? Or what if it's a big long bar with just a ton of price action and the train's left the station and now there's a trade because you had to wait for that 5-minute bar to close? I don't think time-based charts are, with this strategy, the way to go. So maybe they work on lower time frames, maybe, but I just haven't bothered to look because I'm having too much success with these dynamic charts. And again, simplicity for me is everything. And if it's not broken, I'm not looking to fix it. Okay, so how's that for a neutral answer? Look at the Euro Aussie. Now these are daily charts, so you could say, well, that's a time-based chart, and I'd say, yes, you're right. The exception is you only have to look at it once a day. And so there's some other reasons to want to be interested. And also they're extremely effective. You could see here, again, only 2 losing trades in a row over the last 10 years. Let's see, Max, I'm not seeing the other participants' comments. What am I? Oh, I don't know. Are you looking? You have to look at the question box, Max. So I'm trying to send them to everybody. Does Fo or Derek, are you guys seeing the comments? Remember, you have a chat box and you have a question box, and you're not seeing the comments. Maybe should have asked if it works on MT4 as you are using different. Fo, it does not work on MT4 yet. I hope that we can get it to work on MT4. I have to convince Netpicks. You see, MT4 is kind of an amateur hobby platform. It's not what we would consider a professional platform. It's very limited. I'm not saying it isn't good. I think it is very good, but it's very limited. So we haven't really spent time with it. Now, Counterpunch Trader, the prior strategy, works really well on MT4. And Counterpunch is still going strong. And so does Trend Jumper, my strategy prior to that. They both work really well on MT4. All right, so let me, Derek, so let's see. I'll read the comments. Fo asked if it works on lower time frames, and you heard my answer. And then the MT4 thing. So you haven't really missed much. You know, you're the only one that mentioned something about trade plans. Derek says, I like today's webinar. I appreciate the trading plan insight. Good. Yeah, that's super important. You know, Spotlight Power Trader got the name for a reason. One is because, you know, from just saying what it does, it shines a spotlight on the trade. That's why the shorts are always red, the greens are always long and flat, even though it's going up. There are ways to take trades like this, but they're more advanced. The simplistic version, right? Flat. So shines a spotlight. Power comes from the 12 powers. We call them powers, or things that you need to do in order to have ongoing success as a trader. In other words, you don't want to be that guy or gal just trying to trade. You want to be the CEO of your trading business and focus on these 12 elements. And if you can get all 12, you're going to be successful. Most traders fail, right? So why? Why is that? Well, we identify that, and that's built into the strategy. I've mentioned I've mentioned 3 of the powers. 1, power of quitting, being able to quit positive most of the time. 2, power of compounding, using the proper position size, money management. It all comes into play with power of compounding. Einstein's 8th wonder of the world, right? We want to utilize that power. The other power of the trade plan. Why? Because we could test it. We can get measurable results. As CEOs of our trading businesses, we can put ourselves in the strongest, most advantageous position before we ever place a single trade. By the way, that's one of the powers, the power of being the CEO, because your mindset and your way of looking at things changes. You're not just that guy trying to trade, trying to get price action. Oh no, maybe I should move my stop. Oh no, maybe I should take profit early. All those things that human beings do that are mistakes. So this is all in the training too. The training is very comprehensive. It's a strategy, but it's everything else that you need to be successful also. A live trade room, all the coaching that comes with. So these are all things I think you need to consider with a strategy. So look, we've looked at some Forex. Let me quickly show you how we can use this on equities. Real interesting stuff. Let's look at the Qs because you can see what's going on here. There are numerous, I've got 3 or 4 different Q variations. So each one tries to do a different thing. You can see here, this trade comes up and it breaks even, but it's showing that it lost because there was a gap open. So it really depends on when you get executed. The automation doesn't know that it spiked down and you could have got filled here. So basically a wash, right? There's another losing trade and now you got a winning trade. So it doesn't look so great with these 3 trades. It's just that when you start analyzing the performance report that you start getting the big picture of things over 10 years. And this is using a single share times each, a single share per target and trail, so 5 single shares. So we're not interested in trading shares. We're interested in buying in the money call options. So like right here, you make it bigger. Let's just pretend we're trading this plan. And again, because options are at different strike prices, you can trade a variety of these variations to this, and they all give you different results, some good diversification. You have an entry, and it's at 162.82. So you're looking for an in-the-money call, and you're looking to, maybe 4 times the average hold time, which you get with the performance report. See, you can't get this with MT4, FO. That's another thing is with MT4 that it just doesn't offer this type of tool set. So you could look at the average time in the trade and you could see it's 36, say 37 days. So multiply that by 4, 3 or 4, and it tells you how far out to buy your simple call options. You're paying, pennies on the dollar. And even if it loses, like here, it got in and then quickly lost, you're not holding the option to expiration. And because you're buying it so many months out in advance, you're only losing some of your premium, and then you're selling your option back and recapturing some of your premium. So even a full loss, your risk rewards are really great, because when it does come up and hit this target 1, and that target 1 makes $6.31, right, 631 ticks, and you figure maybe, I don't know if you guys are options traders, but that'll probably be roughly around a 70 delta at that point. So you're making about 70% of the $6.31 on 100 shares, right? Each option's 100 shares you're controlling. That's a good profit, considering that you're not buying 100 shares at $16,000. You're paying whatever that option costs, several $100s, maybe $1,000. You're paying a lot less than having to control to pay for 100 shares. So by the time you peel off a position here, you're making 30, 40, 50% profit on the money you've tied up for that option. And then you're now locking in profit and shooting for higher prices. So options trading with these setups is fantastic, and you can do really well. And we all know the oil's going up and up. Well, how about an inexpensive option on U.S. oil, this ETF trading close to 10,000 shares a day, taking advantage of the trending nature of oil going up and up. These options are like under $200 each, and you could see that it's making some serious bank with high percentage gains. So there's ways to trade oil and take advantage of the macro trends using Spotlight. Just to give you an idea, there's some boring stocks like Home Depot. I mean, who would ever want to invest in Home Depot? I don't know. I never would. But to trade it, maybe you do if you I don't know. I shouldn't say that. I mean, I don't know. It's just that, it's just not very sexy. It's not a sexy name, right? But if you look at the performance report, you might change your mind on how sexy it is. Just to give you an idea. I mean, it's got almost a 20 profit factor, 94% win rate over 10 years. And these are remarkable. $5 per share per trade, right? It's only lost 2 in a row in 10 years, but it's won 32 in a row. You see? I mean, I don't know. Yeah, looks a lot sexier now, doesn't it? Anyway, the point is that there are a lot of opportunities out there, and you can discover them with the techniques we teach using Spotlight with the automation. All right, so there's, you can see some green, green, green. This is the Russell, the Russell making all-time highs, and it's breaking out. I mean, look where this trade got long, way back here. And it's just been like what they call the Jaws formation, like shark teeth, up and down and up and down, and just terrible, real toppy price action, real toppy, right? And it's breaking out. And the targets are up a little higher, but you get the idea. So these are swing trades, longer term swing trades. All right, so let me segue over to Spotlight Sub-Zero. All right, and then I'll save a little bit of time in case you guys want to ask some questions. Sub-Zero, I'm really excited about this. It is the Spotlight Power Trader, but it's a new setup and it's unique, and we developed its own indicator that only focuses on this setup. And so to understand the setup, I'll show you the Russell again, since that's what we started with last time. Markets trend and markets consolidate, right? And then they trend and then they consolidate. And you might say a consolidation is when the markets are somewhat in balance. Buyers and sellers kind of have equal power, and the price is going up and down and up and down. Some of us, if we're in the trade, will refer to it as chop or whipsaw or losing trades, right? I mean, consolidation is could be dangerous. You want to catch markets when the balance gets upset, right? When all of a sudden the market's out of balance, the buyers take over, the sellers take over. It's when the market is not in balance is when you get trading opportunities. All right, so keep that idea in mind. So let's go back. We'll just take a look at, these are some of the trades I was taking today. Let me just, again, we'll just look at market hours. This trade is such a powerful trade that some people are using it even outside of market hours. So to understand this histogram, this is a unique histogram. It's an oversold, overbought indicator, and then it's got this green line here which measures the average strength of a trend. Now, it's a lagging indicator, and I know when people hear lagging indicators, they're like, oh no, I'm not interested. But you know what? We're using it in an innovative way, and we actually use it as a leading indicator. And it's counterintuitive, which kind of fits within my whole personality, because to me, trading is all counterintuitive. Knowing that markets trend and markets consolidate, we're using the average strength line, and you could see it. Let me just make this window a little smaller so that we can kind of see. Yeah, there you see the average strength. Okay, a trend is going to cause a line to go up, whether it's trending up or whether it's trending down. And you could see when it's not trending, it's just kind of meandering. So what the principle of Sub-Zero is that when this green line gets below -20, the market's going to be poised for some sort of a move, right? You're kind of in the consolidation zone, but you're at that level where price action is about to go somewhere. And then we use our Spotlight setup with the exhaustion dots and our momentum line, our balance line, and our price action to put us in trades. All right, so let me just kind of walk you through and I'll show you. We're not trying to catch every trade. So when we were talking about trade plans earlier, and I showed you some with the Russell, with the YM, and you could use the same principle with other markets. Sorry about that. We have our start time, our stop time, our goals, right? That's how we would typically trade. But with Sub-Zero, this is what I call a true trade of opportunity that just randomly appears at times throughout the day on every chart. And I only have looked at momentum bars. I don't know what the Sub-Zero level would be on a tick chart or a time-based chart. I hope to test that eventually. But the momentum bars work so well that I just continue to stay with what works. So when you get to a Sub-Zero level, it means that the market is poised at some point to make a move. All right, so we know that happens, and we could see it coming because our average strength line dips below -20, right? So I have that's the red line down here. See that? That's the -20 level, and it finally does right here, and then we start looking for a trade. And the first trade that sets up is this one. And I was in this trade. Okay, now this setup is a single trade setup, but you can take a second trade in the opposite direction if the first trade loses, and that's because of the whole principle that a fake breakout one way often leads to a strong move in the opposite direction. So if the trade loses going up, the trade going down has a high probability of winning, and so I wanted to make that part of my plan. So this is either 1 or 2 trades, and then the sub-zero setup is over and you wait for another one. That's it. It's very simple, and all it has to do is hit the money management level and it's considered a successful trade. You get to break even. We're not going to fight City Hall. It's successful. So it won't look for a short trade now. All right, so that's it. 1 trade and done. Now we get a short trade. This is a second sub-zero because it came up above barely. You see it barely went above, like by 2 cents, and then it went back down again. So the calculator is pretty smart. It identified another setup, and that one, this is actually going to be another break-even trade, and the reason why is, well, actually, unfortunately, no. This is what 2 losing trades look like. Because what we're going to do is we're going to adjust stop and reversal and go a little higher, but it would have stabbed through. This is just what 2 losing trades look like, okay? So unfortunately, worst case scenario is you get 2 losing trades. Now the good news is that when you stop and reverse, the losing trade would have been up here. It didn't get to the full stop out. Usually what happens is you get into the long trade and then it zooms up. So you cut the losing trade in half, or you get a percentage of the full risk that you're saving some of it, and then you get long and hit full target, and within 2 trades you get your positive result, right? Not, you know, some trades lose. That's what the losing sequence looks like. That. All right, so then, you know, obviously I'm looking at several charts. I'm not just looking at the Russell. So I'm trading my Spotlight normal strategy, and I'm looking to take some sub-zero trades later in the session, especially when I'm done with the trade room. You get another one here, and that one also, believe it or not, this one ends up winning because it doesn't go through the adjustment. So it ends up coming down and winning. But it's a real small trade, and it's also late in the day. And by the way, this is yesterday. I thought I was looking at today. So let's look at today now. I wouldn't have been trading that late in the afternoon. So this is all overnight, waiting for 8:30. Here we go. This was the trade. I'm like, I don't remember taking those losses today. So I was in this trade, and this trade stabs up and it breaks even. That I remember. Then I do remember the second trade, and that one comes down and hits target 2. I mean, look how perfect that is. That's like, I don't remember losing. That's why that's weird. So anyway, that was yesterday. Today, that's a perfect look at sub-zero. All right, that's what sub-zero does. And you can see how it gets below the -20, and it gets you poised for that burst up. And the false breakout, right, doesn't really follow through, but it was enough to get a break even. And so then the trade in the opposite direction, which also lines up with another sub-zero, and gets a nice move down. Right? Not bad. On the YM, just to kind of show you, or I'll show you some others. When the stock market isn't trading very well, I'll look. I like trading energies like unleaded gas, for example. Unleaded gas is one of my favorite markets. And it was really slow. These were Spotlight trades. If you want, I could show you. Spotlight did very well. I mean, it hit its goals. But the sub-zero came here. And look at how it got that perfect target 3. So I'm using sub-zero as a unique trade of opportunity only, not trying to do too much. If I can get one good winner on a particular chart during the period of time I'm trading, that's usually enough for me, because I could do that over and over and over again. On the YM, this was the only sub-zero I took, was this one, and it was a break even. But I showed you that I already hit my goals with Spotlight. So again, I'm using sub-zero for 2 reasons, right? This is not a time to trade. It's too late in the day, and it's options expiration. You can see not doing very well. But it still might do well. The long trade, here's a good example of a failed trade then getting short, right? So this long trade fails to break to new highs. The stop was down here, but you're getting short a couple ticks below that plus, so you're cutting your risk and getting short, and this may work or may not work. It's just, it's so slow today. I'm not interested in trading when there's no energy in the market, so that's something else that you guys should keep in mind. Again, my goal is to get in, get out, get done, and I don't want to be married to my charts. There are other things I would rather do. So that helps me. That helps me stay out of some, you know, crappy price action. Third Friday of the month, you guys have to be aware of options expiration. It's pretty typical. Crude oil, of course, is fantastic. The NQ, the ES. With Sub-Zero, you know, you could use all these. I wasn't trading the ES. I knew I had a demo, so I don't try to do too much, but the first trade you could see came right here. And look at the target too. Really nice Sub-Zero. Then later, not so good. Anyway, so that's Sub-Zero, and the thing is again, the way you use it, the way I use it, number one, I'm calling a trade room quite often. It's very difficult to trade my trade plan when calling a trade room because it's easy for me to get distracted. In other words, people are asking questions, I'm looking at other charts that someone else is interested in, maybe I'm not, but I might miss my trade. It's kind of treacherous to try to trade live. I do it, but I do it very controlled. And if I see a Sub-Zero trade, then I have a lot of confidence, and I will often take those. And when I'm done with the trade room and I have some time to just do my own trading, that's when I resort to Sub-Zero also. So again, necessity being the mother of invention, Sub-Zero has really proven its merit to me. I've been using it. Yeah, every now and then you'll pick up a couple losses, but you win so often. It has such a high percentage win rate, and if you're trading multiple charts, usually, I mean, I haven't had a losing session, and I don't even remember. It's been a while. They happen once in a while, but with my plan, the way I'm doing it, I'm able to quit positive and hit my spotlight goals of quitting positive a vast majority of the time while controlling my drawdown with minimal and efficient trading. Sub-Zero does that for me. My trade plans do that for me. It's part of the training and of what we teach. And obviously those swing trades you've seen, similar principle. So that's kind of it. I mean, I've been talking now for about an hour. I appreciate those of you that stuck around, but let me just see if any of you have any specific questions before we say goodbye. If you think you are interested and would like to get started, if you are looking for something like this, let me know. I can certainly let you know what Netpicks is offering at this point. Okay, so Clifford Can asking, do you have any idea of a broker for Ontario, Canada? And the answer is yes. What I've dealt with a lot of Canadian clients. I've got Canadian members that I still deal with. You're having a problem with Owanda. So Clifford, the problem you're having with Owanda is because of what exactly? So what I would recommend is this. I would say, number one, interactive brokers. They're the broker you should use. And one reason why is because you could trade everything from one account. Right? Interactive brokers. That's their name, IB. You can look at interactivebrokers.com. And here's the thing. That's just your broker. Then you want to get a license with NinjaTrader, because what you're going to do, and you could, they'll show you how. They have instructions how to do this. You tie NinjaTrader charts with kinetic data. So you subscribe to kinetic data. There's a small cost involved with data, but that we all pay it anyway. It doesn't matter where you are. Forex is free, but if you're going to trade futures and equities, you need good data. So kinetic data through NinjaTrader. NinjaTrader gives you the great charts. You'll be able to use Spotlight just like this. The setups are just like this. It works perfectly. And when you place the trade, it automatically goes through to Interactive Brokers, who, by the way, they're some of the best brokers in the world. They're the lowest cost, and you could trade everything from one account. Stocks, options, futures, Forex, everything. A single account. And to me, that is the best choice for somebody from Canada. Clifford, do me a favor, and you're very welcome, but I'm going to give you my Gmail, tradecoachtroy@gmail.com. And hopefully you guys can all see that in the answer column. Derek, maybe if you stretch out your window, you might see the answers. It could be that you have to just open your window up more. All right, but if you didn't get my email, let me know. tradecoachtroy@gmail.com. Max, I'm glad that you enjoyed the webinar. Max says no questions in particular. It's been a great webinar, a great seminar. Good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Just copied and we'll paste it. Okay. Very good, Clifford. So send me an email. I'll certainly respond to you. Any other questions that I missed? I'm looking. How much does one get this, and for how much? Okay. So Fo, there are two ways to get involved, and I don't have pricing information, but I could tell you what it was. And then Netpicks it's not really. I have to check with them. Okay, so the full Spotlight Power Trader that comes with Sub-Zero and the automation and the training, all of it, that you own it for life, is $29.97. It's a one-time price, or $297 a month for 12 months. So you could buy it on time, over time, $297 a month, and then you own it at the end of 12 months. There's a 60-day guarantee, 100% satisfaction, 60 days. If you go through the training and if you work with me so I can help you through questions and getting you set up right so that you know what you're actually doing, you'll never want to give it up. There's another way to get involved, and that's with our Inner Circle. Our Inner Circle membership is really great because it gives you access to nearly every single thing that Netpicks has, not just Spotlight, but my older strategy, Counterpunch Trader, anything earlier than that, and all the new stuff coming out, all our options Fast Track, Options Academy, our ETF Investor, everything that Netpicks has, you have access to. It's $397 a month. It's the membership, and you get everything. Okay, so that's another way to go. It's just a month to month, and there are ways to get that at a discount as well. So, I mean, I've had people paying as little as $208 a month, which is a super deal to get everything. I mean, we're talking $30,000 worth of stuff. I'm not saying that you're going to use all that, but when you're trying to find what it is you want and you want to be able to grow and expand into stuff, some people really like that. Okay, so those are two ways to get Spotlight. Clifford says, you are much better than the other courses that I have joined if this works for a broker. Clifford, I appreciate that. I've heard that a lot. I think we are really good. I mean, again, remember, I was a customer like you guys. I can't stress that enough. I know what you're going through. I trade. I'm not just some guy trying to sell you stuff. These are strategies I created that I use, and I rely on them in a live trade room, and dozens of other traders rely on me being able to call good trades and being able to trade the strategy also. And we have a lot of successful traders in our community. One thing that really helps is to be a part of a community of successful traders, because then you learn. You're going to learn what to do and what not to do. If you're all here to make money, you have to think like a business person. You have to be the CEO, and you have to make a little bit of an investment, not just in a good strategy like this, but in your own time and effort and learning the right way to do things. Okay, so you need someone who knows how to teach, and I've been doing this a long time, and I've got a lot of people that I've helped, and my strategies are sold in over 100 countries, and again, 7 Summits Trader, Trend Jumper, Counterpunch Trader, Spotlight Power. I mean, these are all mine, and they're all going strong. I have people contacting me still using 7 Summits Trader, still using Trend Jumper. Okay, these strategies don't break. How often is the trade room? Just a couple. Yeah, it's Mondays and Wednesdays. So the trade room is not meant to be a signal service. It's meant to teach you how to do the strategy in live time. where we see the markets in live time. We explore a whole bunch of topics beyond just the immediate trades, a lot of the 12 powers to trading, the trade planning, how to create trade plans, how to use the automation, swing trade stuff, Forex, charts that someone's interested in that no one would have thought of. We go through a lot. I trade live the crude oil inventory report every week. We do that. You can find that on YouTube. There's a lot of live sessions on that. There's always a couple Forex charts, and when we're doing Counterpunch Trader, we've got some time-based charts. I've got 5-minute charts in the Euro US and the Pound US with Counterpunch Trader, FO. They do very well. You can get involved with the Counterpunch Trader for as little as $1,000. And you can use that on MT4. That may be an option for you. I'll even throw in 2 free months of the Inner Circle if you decide that. Netpicks lets me do that. So at this point, let me know what else. You guys got my email? All right, Clifford, I will look for that and I will respond to you. Charles, I think I answered your question. Yeah, if you want me to call you, Clifford, I'm happy to do that too, but I'll start with an email, okay, and then we can set an appointment to talk. I'll talk to any of you guys if you want to talk on the phone, not a problem. What else? What can I do for you before we say goodbye, you guys? Is there anything I missed? Is there anything else that you're interested in? Just let me know. I see a bunch of other people have joined. We had a lot of people running for the exits. I must have bored everybody showing you my trades, but I'm glad those that stuck around, but I'm going to end this. I'll give you guys a few more minutes to think of any questions for both Bitcoin and also currencies. Yeah, well, this strategy and the earlier strategies work really well with crypto. And Netpicks has a really nice crypto course, and that comes with the Inner Circle membership. You get that. So that's maybe an option for you too. You missed half the webinar. Well, you kind of saw the gist of it when I was showing you some examples. I could send you another more thorough webinar link that you could watch also. Okay, so now that I got your email, happy to do it. So Max, Fo, Pierre, Tom, Mark, GE, Dan, Clifford, Charles, Bill, Aaron, last call. Otherwise, I'll say goodbye to you. Thank you so much for joining me today. Again, my email is tradecoachtroy@gmail.com. Feel free to send me a question. If you like what you saw and you want more information, just reach out to me. And everyone have a great weekend. Hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye.